JJ, welcome to Breakdown. It's January, it's bitterly cold in Michigan. That can only mean one thing, it's basketball season. You ready to talk basketball?
Indeed, I am.
Let's do it.
All right.
JJ, SEC Big Ten. Let's start off with the SEC. The SEC has a SEC Big 12 challenge this coming Saturday. There's 10 games. SEC is playing the Big 12. I want to talk about four of those games. There's going to be Oklahoma, Auburn, West Virginia, Arkansas, Baylor, Alabama, and Kentucky, Kansas.
Yeah.
Let's
Those are the premier matchups.
Yeah. Let's start off with the Oklahoma, Alabama.
Oklahoma,
Auburn.
the number one
At
team in the
Auburn.
country, Auburn. Got to give them the proper.
What's the atmosphere? What would you expect the atmosphere to be like in Auburn?
Well, Auburn has notoriously, it's notoriously considered to be the best atmosphere in the SEC when it comes to basketball. Like when things are clicking on all cylinders. Um,
Well, given that Auburn, I keep saying that, given that Auburn is the number one team in the country, going to be on ESPN national TV, the crowd, I'm thinking, is just going to be crazy.
Yeah, I have a friend that's a Kentucky fan that's been to a lot of different places. He's been to Fog Island in Kansas. He's obviously seen Kentucky play in Kentucky. And he said the best atmosphere he'd ever seen in person was the Auburn game. So
Oh, I'm looking forward to that game. What do you expect to happen in that game?
I expect Auburn to win by a lot. Oklahoma has lost a few of its players. They lost a transfer to North Carolina.
Okay.
Brady, I can't remember his last name, but I know he was in Trey Young's recruiting class. He was a freshman the same year as Trey Young. If you remember that season for Oklahoma.
I remember the season.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, he was their second best player, and he was like a 3-and-D stretch big guy. So Oklahoma, I mean, they're not ranked right now. I haven't watched a whole lot of Oklahoma basketball this year, but when I did watch them, they lost. So
Well, I saw Oklahoma blow out Arkansas. I hate to say it. I believe it was 88 to 66.
that was a different Arkansas team.
Okay. All right, I tell you, Arkansas was undefeated at the time.
Yeah, but that was like the start of their skid. That they're not.
Okay.
We don't like to talk about those times. We don't need to talk
That's
about
true.
those
Okay.
times.
So you see Auburn winning in that game in the SEC.
Well,
Big,
yeah, I mean,
Big 12
they
challenge.
have the best player in the country, Jabari Smith. People say that, there's shades of Kevin Durant in his game. I personally see obviously a poor man's Kevin Durant, but that's what people say. I see a little bit of I see like what's his name, Scotty Barnes from Florida State last year, went to Toronto.
Yeah.
I see that with more of a jumper. He's a more of a fluid athlete than he is like explosive athlete, but he is athletic. He can score at all three levels. He can handle the ball. He can get other guys involved. I think you have him. You have the nation's leader in blocks and Walker Kessler, the transfer from North Carolina. 7-foot big man. You have Katie Johnson and Wendell Green at the guard spots. I think Auburn. I mean, I think they're the best team in the SEC. I think they're better than Oklahoma for sure.
The best in the SEC, but you didn't say the best in the country. Auburn is 19-1. Going up against Oklahoma. Does Auburn have a weakness?
Every team has a weakness. I think Bruce Pearl isn't known for his depth all at all times. Sometimes he'll shorten his rotations. But Bruce Pearl, he took two schools to the highest ranking of all time. Before he got to Tennessee,
Yeah.
Tennessee had never reached number one ranking in men's basketball. And when he got there, they propelled themselves to number one. Auburn had never been ranked number one in the country before he got there. And now they're currently the number one team in the country.
Congratulations.
I think they're well coached, and I think they're well personneled.
I do. I agree. I think Bruce Pearl is an extremely good coach.
And I think we'll talk more about him later.
You want to talk about him later?
A little bit. Just
Okay,
there's a.
okay.
I know it doesn't have anything to do with the SEC or Big Ten, but Louisville just parted ways with their coach. And Louisville's a top 10 program. I think it's the 8th or 9th best program of all time. And they have a vacancy to fill. but we can talk about that later.
Sound like some hints. Okay, we'll come back to this later. The next game in the SEC Big 12 Challenge, West Virginia. They're 13-6. They're going to be playing at Arkansas.
Who's on a 5-game win streak right now?
That's correct. They won, and West Virginia's on a 4-game losing streak.
Yeah.
So, pretty interesting combination. And one thing
It's like the very movable object meets the.
Well, you know what? West Virginia has an ex-Razorback on their team.
They do.
Who would that be?
Gabo Saboyan.
Saboyan. I like him a lot.
I liked him a lot. I mean,
He played 2 years at Arkansas, and this is his 3rd year at West Virginia. He's one of those 5-year COVID kind of guys.
Well, I think he had to actually sit out his first.
No.
No, you didn't have to?
I don't think so.
Was that the first year that you didn't have to sit
I
out?
think it was.
Okay.
But I'm pretty sure he did not. Yeah.
Okay.
So what's your take on that game? West Virginia, Arkansas.
Well, West Virginia has, a Hall of Fame coach. Bob Huggins is
Agreed.
is a very good coach. He's lost a few players to the transfer portal. They have a dynamic scoring forward, Taz. I think, I don't know, Arkansas. It depends on the Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, which version of Arkansas shows up.
Well, as you said, Arkansas is on a 5-game winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
They have the leading scorer in the SEC in J.D. Note.
Yes. In SEC play.
Okay, right, in SEC play,
Yeah.
J.D. Note. Arkansas, to me, their biggest problem is turnovers.
That's one of the, I'd say that.
One of their strengths, though, they're leading the country in free throws, which surprised me. So who you got in that game?
I do have Arkansas. West Virginia isn't the press Virginia of old right now.
Okay.
Arkansas has 5 players averaging between 9 and 10 points. And outside of J.D. Note, no one averages more than 10 points. So I think they're really balanced. I don't think that West Virginia has the ability to punish Arkansas on the interior with multiple big men. I think that's one of Arkansas's weaknesses. I love Jalen Williams. I love him a lot, but
yes,
I think that he's their only real interior threat.
True. But they do have a 7-footer.
Yeah,
But he's not
more than
a threat.
7-footer.
Understood.
Who's really good against, before you get to conference play, you can use them against the, the Oral Robertses of the world, but, yeah.
Well, Arkansas is 15-5.
Yeah.
West Virginia 13-6. Should be a good game. Arkansas has the momentum going right now.
Yeah, they're turning in the right direction.
I would be surprised if they didn't really show up for this game, and it's at Arkansas. So
it is at Arkansas, and it is a pivotal game. If West Virginia wants to save their season and make the tournament, Arkansas also, we wouldn't think that they would need to be campaigning for a tournament to make the NCAA tournament at this point. But the season, obviously, like you said, it didn't. It had its ebbs and flows. So,
it does.
So it's very important to secure your tournament spot and then for seeding. So this is a pivotal game for both teams.
Another SEC Big 12 matchup. 2 months ago, I would have said this was the class of the matchup. Pitt's Baylor against Alabama.
Yeah.
At Alabama.
Yeah.
Baylor's number 4 in the country, 18-2. Alabama is 13-7 and struggling mightily.
Yeah.
What happened to Alabama?
They lost a lot of players from last season. They lost the SEC Player of the Year and Herb Jones, who's looking really good for the Pelicans. John Petty III, they lost shooting it with him.
But they started the year looking really good.
Beat Gonzaga.
They have lost, JJ, to the bottom dwellers in the SEC. They've lost to Georgia. Georgia's only conference win is against Alabama. They've lost to Missouri. Missouri almost beat Alabama twice.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Alabama's supposed to be better than this.
Yeah, I mean they are, but they play a very volatile style of offense where they want 50% of their attempts to come from the 3-point line, and then ESPN did a whole feature about how their practice is set up, and threes are worth 4 or 5 points, so you incentivize Nate Oates incentivizes people to take the shots that he wants to be taken, and that worked really well last year when they played phenomenal defense because you live by the three, die by the three. But when you really guard people, you really play excellent defense. Even if the three isn't going in that day, the defense travels. The defense carries over. They are a very bad defensive team this year. That's the difference. They just don't.
Okay, this is at Alabama. Baylor's number 4 team in the country.
Yeah.
Do you see this not being a blowout?
The way Alabama could be anybody. Like they take so many threes. If they're hot that night, I could see Alabama winning.
Oh,
If they beat Gonzaga, I don't think. I think this year's Gonzaga is better than this year's Baylor. And if they want to turn things around and get things going in the right direction, they're gonna have to start at some point. Obviously, I would predict Baylor to win.
I'll say
But
this:
Alabama could win.
Alabama could lose their next 3 games.
They absolutely could.
Those next 3 games is really tough. They could be sitting at 13-10 in early February. They may not be making the tournament this year.
They might not.
Yeah. So, and I'd be shocked if it was a close game.
I would not be shocked, but that's I think where we differ. I think we both have Baylor winning, but
Okay. Let's talk about the marquee matchup in this SEC Big 12 Challenge. That pits
Arkansas and West Virginia. I thought we already talked about that.
Well, it is. You're right. Okay. Let's talk about the other marquee matchup. Kentucky and Kansas. Kentucky at Kansas. Kentucky is number 12 in the country. Kansas number 5.
And had Kansas not taken a loss recently, this game, Kentucky and Kansas are the 2 all-time winningest programs, and
Okay.
I believe 2 games separates them. So this game could have been for the opportunity for Kansas to overtake Kentucky
Wow.
for the all-time winningest program. But I think Kansas can only tie Kentucky.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
It's at Fog Island.
Both, in my mind, both teams are really good.
Yeah.
I've seen Kentucky play. They lost. I saw them lose to Auburn.
But they were leading when
I
Ty
understand.
Washington got hurt.
Kentucky is very, very impressive. I mean, I didn't realize they were as good as they are, but don't sleep on Kentucky.
A lot of their losses come at the result of their best players not being available to them. So the last 3 losses they've had one of their 3 best players out. So
Let me ask you a question, JJ. Last year, when Illinois' big man was considering going to Kentucky,
Kofi Coburn
yeah,
to follow his 2 assistants that left for Illinois for
did Kentucky already have their transfer?
Oscar Schwebe had already committed from West Virginia.
So why would they have wanted both those guys there?
They didn't. That's why Kofi Coburn stayed in Illinois.
Okay. Thanks for the education.
The issue is Oscar Tshiebwe committed to them, and he was the preseason Big 12 Player of the Year, all Big 12 first team or whatever, and he had a disappointing year at West Virginia the year prior. So, but he had already committed to them, and he
Okay.
was a big upgrade. And then Kentucky went and got Illinois' 2
coaches.
assistants,
Yeah.
and then Kofi Coburn was considering on transferring, but they just didn't want to do that to Oscar Tshiebwe, which looked like it's not the wrong decision with Oscar Tshiebwe setting all these records at Kentucky.
Well, both guys. Look
Yeah,
good.
you look like they couldn't have gone wrong, and
So what's your take on this game, Kansas and Kentucky?
it should be a barn burner. This is actually the game that a lot of people are theorizing that Shaden Sharp, Kentucky's. He started the year as a high school. He was in high school when the year started,
I know
and
the
then
game you're
he
talking about.
graduated early, and he's eligible to play. And he's projected to be a top 10 pick in the lottery.
So he joined Kentucky in midseason out of high school, but there's issues as to whether or not he played his eligibility, right?
No, his eligibility issues were only as it pertains to would he be eligible for the NBA draft
Okay,
after the
okay.
season, and now it's looking like he will be eligible.
Okay.
So if he wasn't eligible, there was more incentive for John Calipari to just like redshirt him, like give him the
I
ability.
got you.
But since he's going to be eligible, there's a very small likelihood that he'll be playing college basketball in 2022, 2023.
Yeah.
So they
he-
got to get.
There's a possibility he will be playing in this game, first time this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it should be a very exciting game. I mean, Ty Washington hurt his ankle. If he can come back healthy, um, Severe Wheeler, he's had issues with staying healthy and concussion issues. Those are their only penetrators on the team. They have a lot. They have this is the oldest Kentucky team ever. Kellen Grady is I think 24, and Davion Mintz I think is he's either 24 or 25. So they have a lot of transfers.
The one and done model is history.
Well, it's done in one now, right? you finish your undergrad and then one extra. But.
Okay. Well, JJ, there's 10 games in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Who will win it? And don't tell me it's going to be a tie. Will the SEC come out ahead, or will it be the Big 12?
I like the Big 12 to come out ahead. I think that they have more depth. I think the SEC has the more talented top of the conference, but I think in that middle tier, I think there are more Big 12 teams than there are SEC
Okay.
teams.
You heard it from JJ.
Who do you think is going to win?
Who do I think's going to win?
Mm-hmm.
I know who I think's going to win, but it's not who I want to win.
Who do you want to win?
I prefer to see the SEC win.
Okay.
That's just my preference. But enough with the SEC. Well, no. That's it. We will. Let's before we leave the SEC. Let's talk Bruce Pearl now. Let's get him out of the way before we go to the Big Ten. What's up with this Bruce Pearl in Louisville?
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors swirling around that he will be the next coach at Louisville, or not. Obviously, he's not going to leave Auburn in the season that they could potentially win the championship. He's not going to do a Brian Kelly and leave before that's all resolved. But the next non-interim coach at Louisville. Louisville is the best college basketball school in a city that is as big as it is, and that's one of the reasons Rick Pitino chose to take the Louisville job over the Michigan job, was just the size of the city. That's the thing that a lot of people like to be like the big man on campus, and for college towns, a lot of times you're a big fish in a small pond. But that's an opportunity to, because the best schools outside of UCLA, obviously UCLA is the best school in a major city. But outside of like Duke is in Durham. North Carolina is in Chapel Hill. Kentucky's in
Arkansas is in Fayetteville.
Very true, very true.
Okay. JJ, but does Pearl have any history with Louisville?
He's from his first coaching job I think was like at Evansville or Indiana. Like he's very familiar with that area. Obviously he was at Tennessee, which is not too far from Louisville. He's now at Auburn, which isn't super far. The Upper Midwest, he's his first coaching job I think was either Evansville or somewhere near Evansville and in some Indiana school.
So what if Auburn opened up the bank? Do you think Bruce Pearl would be in Louisville?
It just depends on what he wants. Auburn's always going to be a football school. He's always going to be playing second fiddle to the football. It depends on how. I know his ego is what it is. He's good at being a showman and not showing that it gets to him. But what do we know? What really gets to him? What he wants?
What if he likes money?
Well, Louisville has money too.
Okay.
Especially since I'm not sure if you know about the details of the Chris Mack contract, but they basically don't have to give him a penny. So.
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Okay. Well, let's move on to the Big Ten.
Okay.
The Big Ten. Who's the leader in the Big Ten?
The best team in the Big Ten right now.
Who's leading the conference now?
Who's currently leading the conference is the Illinois Fighting Illini.
All right. Illinois is 7-2. Wisconsin, Michigan State are both 6-2. JJ, let's talk about the game Saturday in the Big Ten, the big one in East Lansing. Pitch those people from A Squared, Ann Arbor, coming to East Lansing, the Wolverines and the Spartans. Wolverines have been playing well as of late. Tell me about this game.
Yeah, it's long anticipated. Michigan had COVID issues, which prevented them from playing it earlier at Michigan. But it's long overdue and much anticipated. So
Michigan is 4-3 in the conference. Michigan State is 6-2. Michigan is 10-7 overall.
Hmm.
They're a bubble team right now.
Yeah, they have really strong computer numbers, so I think that they're on the right side of the bubble. But you are absolutely right; they're a bubble
But they
team.
got a lot of games to play,
Yeah,
some big teams to play.
indeed.
And so does Michigan State. Michigan State has not played many. I mean, they played a couple of the hard upper echelons team. They played Illinois and Wisconsin, split those. They still got some tough games to play. But Michigan, who needs this game the most?
Well, Michigan obviously needs it the most.
If Michigan lose this game, how much danger are they in?
I think they'd still be on the right side of the bubble. I mean, one of the good things about the Big Ten having so many solid teams is you're not gonna like all of, uh, like how like the net does, like they have quadrant one, quadrant 2,
Mm-hmm.
quadrant three, quadrant four losses. Like their opportunities, most of their losses that they sustain will be quadrant one losses, which doesn't hurt you nearly as much as like quadrant three losses is what kills you.
Okay.
But I don't think this hurts them as much as you think it would with them having a 10-7 record or going potentially to 10-8. I don't think it hurts them as much as it may appear, but I mean they would be 10-8
Okay.
unranked and with their best win over Indiana.
Well, break down this matchup for me. Let's start with the big man. Give me your take on the two big men
Marcus Bingham
for Michigan
for
State.
Michigan State is going up against Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson is one of the best big men in the Big Ten, and I kind of expect him to have his way with Marcus Bingham. Marcus Bingham is a senior that I don't know how much he weighs, but I doubt it starts with a 2. He's a 7-foot senior. Like he has very weak hands. Michigan State struggles with turnovers, and a lot of times that's usually with their ball handlers. But with this Michigan State team, it's a lot of Marcus Bingham turnovers. Like he gets the ball taken from him a lot, and like I saw a feature about him being able to deadlift 800 pounds and all this, and like he has all this muscle, but it doesn't manifest itself on the court. So I think the interior play I think that's the advantage to Michigan.
Well, I'm going to challenge your statement about the turnovers being a high percentage of them being the fault of the big man. I still think their guards have turned the ball.
That's
over
true.
a
I think
lot.
I think they have as well.
But you're saying Michigan has the advantage on the interior.
Yes.
What about the other positions? Tell me about
Michigan
those.
State has the advantage. Michigan State has the Big Ten's fourth leader in assists in Tyson Walker, and the Big Ten's fifth leader in assists in AJ Hoggard. So I just expect them to dictate the game, minimize the turnovers, and Michigan State should come out with a win. Max Christie he's up and down. He's volatile. Like sometimes when his shot isn't going in, he kind of floats in and out on the offensive end, but his defense carries. He's a very intuitive, very intelligent defender, and I just think I like Max Christie. I like Jaden Akins. Gabe Brown is their leading scorer at only scoring like 14 points a game, but they're very balanced. They have a lot of. I think Michigan State's a really balanced and disciplined team, and I think fundamentally sound. I think if they play Malik Hall more, they'll win.
Michigan State has lost 2 conference games.
One to Northwestern.
And one to Northwestern, one to Illinois. And in both of those games, at the end of the game, they were on the free throw line, able to send both those games into overtime. In the one, Binghamton missed the front end of a 1-1. If he made both of those, it would send the Northwestern game into overtime. In the Illinois game, gosh, who missed the front end of a two shot? Missed the front end of the 2 shot. I can't remember who it was, and then was trying to miss the back end of it, but it was nothing but net. Go figure. But I'm saying they've been right there in those games. Illinois has had a 15-point lead on Michigan State. Michigan State came back and almost stole one, but they did not. But I say that to say this: Michigan State, they've lost 2 games, but they've been in all of them. They've been tight. Michigan has looked impressive the last couple of games. I'll give them that. Which Michigan is going to show up Saturday?
I think Michigan. the team that's been winning lately.
The
for
new and
sure.
improved Michigan.
Yeah.
The new, okay.
They have two McDonald's All-American freshmen, Caleb Houston and Diabate, and they're both averaging like 9 to 10 points a game. But they're really coming on right now. Caleb Houston shooting 44% from three, and I just think that they're starting to be freshmen with the experience. They're relying on freshmen, and these freshmen are getting experience at the right time. So I think Michigan isn't going to roll over for Michigan State. And just to contextualize Michigan State's losses, yeah, Illinois, the Illinois loss was close, but Illinois didn't have Kofi Coburn,
No.
so that's kind of important. And Northwestern is the second worst team in the Big Ten. They've only won 2 games, and half of them are
Hey,
against
Northwestern played Michigan really close.
They-
Northwestern is the best 9-9 team in the country, and 2-7 in the Big Ten.
Okay.
Northwestern is a lot better than their record. I feel sorry for Northwestern. I really do. Okay, JJ, let's talk about another Big Ten game this weekend, and it's on Sunday. It pits the number 16 team in the nation, Ohio State, against the number 6 team in the country, Purdue.
Yeah.
At Purdue. Let me hear you break that game down for me.
On paper, Purdue shouldn't have any problems with Ohio State. They're kind of a one-man band. EJ Liddell is, I think he's the only one. He's averaging about 20 points a game for Ohio State, and second leading scorer is averaging about 10. He's leading them in points, rebounds, blocks. I think if he's not leading in steals, it's close. The Big Ten has a lot of kind of one-man teams, not just Ohio State, obviously Iowa, Wisconsin, but Ohio State has shown that they can play with anyone. They beat Duke.
Yeah.
And they almost lost to Akron in the first game of the season. So
I remember that.
yeah, it's a volatile Big Ten, I think.
Purdue is 5-3
Yeah.
in the Big Ten, number 6 in the country. Ohio State is 5-2 in the Big Ten, number 16 in the country. Purdue is playing good ball, but I cannot figure out how in the world they could have lost 3 games in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
I can't figure it out.
Well, some of that's personnel. I mean, they do have the best. At one point, they had the best offense in the country. I think they still do. At that same point in time, they had the 77th best defense in the country, which is disconcerting. Which you have Jaden Ivey, who's supposed to be a lottery pick, Zach Edey, who could potentially be the Big Ten Player of the Year, Travion Williams, who was a projected first team All Big Ten guy, and who just recently made the Naismith and Wooden All-American watch list. They have the firepower to be much better than they are, and I know have had issues with Ivy being in and out of the lineup and some other health concerns, but
Well, okay, JJ.
who do you think wins that game?
Man, to me, Purdue, the Big Ten is big man heavy. Big man heavy. And they got Purdue, Illinois, Michigan, all got super great big men. And next week, I want you to talk about the big men in the Big Ten. But in my mind, Purdue is the best team in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
But they've
they're
already lost
fifth.
3.
They're fifth place in the Big Ten.
As of now.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, JJ. And I mentioned this to you before, I want you to give me your top, who you expect to finish the season 1 through 4 in both conferences, in the Big Ten and in the SEC. And let's start at 4 and go down. I think we went with the SEC first last time. You want to do that again, or you want to go with the Big Ten this time? Who do you want to start with?
We can do it the Big Ten.
Okay, let's start with the Big Ten. Number 4.
I think the fourth team in the Big Ten will be Wisconsin.
The Badgers. Currently, the Badgers are in second place in
Yeah.
the Big Ten. Okay, who's going to be number 3?
Michigan State.
My Spartans. Okay, who's going to be number 2?
Purdue.
Ooh, was it tough picking between 2 and 1?
A little tough, but
I ain't got to ask you who's number 1. I know you picked those Wolverines to be number 1.
Yep.
No.
Illinois.
Illinois. Okay, I knew.
Yeah.
So we got Illinois 1, Purdue 2, Michigan State 3, Wisconsin 4. Wow. You know what? These are I think 1 and 2 is interchangeable, and I think 3 and 4 is interchangeable. But we're gonna see. You get to adjust each week. Uh, but I do tend to agree with you on those 4 teams. You obviously you left Ohio State out, and a team that I think is really good, but just don't have the horsepowers to catch these teams is Indiana.
Indiana is really good. I think they've only lost one game at home, and that was to Michigan.
Wow. Okay, there we have the Big Ten. Let's do the SEC. 4 through 1. Start with number 4.
The fourth team, and I would go with Arkansas.
Ooh, we gotta talk about this. Give me number 3.
Third would be LSU.
Who was the first team to beat LSU in the SEC?
It was not Kentucky.
I know. It was the team you have behind them.
Indeed.
And it was in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Okay.
But have you seen Arkansas' schedule?
They got an easy schedule.
So you have not seen Arkansas'
They got
schedule.
they got an easy schedule.
No, they do not.
Number 2.
No, they do not. Number 2 would be Kentucky.
Kentucky. Arkansas only has to play Auburn once this year.
Mm-hmm.
And
they have not played them yet.
I
know.
And they only have to play Alabama once this year. Originally, Alabama looked like it's going to be a super tough. It looked like Alabama's going to walk away with the SEC. And at that time,
but they could lose to both of those teams, and they have to play Tennessee twice. Still, they haven't played them.
Tennessee doesn't scare me.
Okay, they don't have to scare you to beat you.
I ain't scared of no Tennessee.
They have the same record in conference as Arkansas, and okay.
Understood.
Anyway, the number 1 team I do have is Auburn.
Will Auburn lose a game in the SEC?
Yeah.
Why? They've halfway through the schedule. They play in 18. They through 8 games are undefeated.
Indeed.
Okay, but they will win one. Okay, so JJ, other than your number 1 pick in the SEC, I find no fault with your picks. I mean, I'm sorry, with the number 1, your number 1 pick is the only one I find no fault in the SEC.
Okay. So who do you have second, third, fourth?
No, I hate to say it, but I kind of think you're right about Kentucky.
so you have to. So you just doubled the. Okay.
But I do think Arkansas is better than LSU. I think LSU is good. I think Arkansas is good. I think Arkansas is Sweet 16 good.
LSU is a game behind Arkansas right now. I looked at LSU's schedule. I looked at Arkansas' schedule.
Hey, Arkansas went through a skid and they righted the ship.
Yeah, for now. And let's see. We will see where we're at when the chips are laid, I guess.
All right. There you have it, the Big Ten. JJ, I got one more thing I want to talk about before we get out of here. Do you have anything you want to talk about?
No, just how many points do you think the Cincinnati Bengals are going to beat the Kansas City Chiefs by? I guess that's my only concern.
Who they nation?
They've never made it this far in my lifetime. I'm so excited. This is the first time they'd ever won a playoff game on the road. Was the Cincinnati Bengals. It was last week, and it was the first time it's happened. And
well, they got to go to KC this coming Sunday. So
they beat them once, so let's do it again.
Back to basketball. Before we get out of here, the McDonald's All-Americans.
Okay.
That game is coming up in early February.
It is.
It's 24 players. SEC has 7 of them.
The most of any conference, right?
The most of any conference.
Yeah.
Arkansas has 2. Alabama has 2. Kentucky has 1. I'm sorry, Kentucky has 2. And LSU has 1.
Yeah.
So those 7. Arkansas let the best big man in the state get away. He's a McDonald's All-American from North Little Rock. But he's going to Oregon, a 7-foot center. I can't pronounce his name. First name, last name is Ware. But yeah. But when I looked at the list of players on the McDonald's All-American team, I was looking for the Big Ten schools. Guess how many the Big Ten has McDonald's All-American?
As of now, I don't believe they have any.
That's right. Does that shock you as much as it shocks me?
It's somewhat shocking. I mean, just the state of Michigan Big Ten schools from last year, they had three, and for the entire conference to have zero this year is somewhat shocking. But
The SEC, they used to tell me it was a football conference.
they have the reigning football champion.
Let's talk about the recruiting class. Who has the number 2 basketball recruiting class right now?
Interesting place to start. Why would you start with number two? Why not go with number one?
Because number 2 tries harder.
Okay.
As an old commercial by Avis, you don't remember.
I don't know what you're talking
You
about.
weren't even born back then. But anyway, if you're number 2, you try harder. So the number 2 basketball recruiting school in the whole United States of America, as of right now, is who?
You tell me.
It's okay to say it. WPS.
Well, then say it then.
Whoopig Suey.
By all means.
The Arkansas Razorback is the number 2, has the number 2 recruiting basketball player in the nation right now. They have 2 McDonald's All-American. One they got from Arkansas. The other guy they got from Oak Cliff, Texas. He's a 6'7" forward. The guy from Arkansas is a point guard, 6'3", 6'4", shooting guard, correction. 6'4" shooting guard from Arkansas, from Jacksonville, Arkansas. The future's bright.
Indeed.
Okay.
I believe Michigan had the number 4 recruiting class last year, and as you said, they're on the bubble. So let's do something with it.
It's a big difference between 4 and 2. But that's it. WPS, Whoopig Suey, Houday Nation. Good luck this coming Sunday against those Kansas City Chiefs. JJ, we out of here.
All right.
Come back next time.
Who dat?